Happy Thursday, Nap Trappers. Today is our... It's so exciting because today is Sleep Detectives, where Bec and I act as your real-life sleep consultants in your ears as we answer a few of your burning baby sleep questions. Every week we both put a question box in our Instagram stories, and once again you have asked some brilliant questions, and we are going to tackle them just at face value, shoot from the hip, no sugarcoating. We're just going to give you our immediate thoughts on what our answers would be. All right, shall I start, Bec? I've got a few on my phone here. Okay.
Go for it.
How to drop bottles when baby eats minimal. 1 teaspoon per meal for solids, 7.5 months old.
So for me, 1 and a bit teaspoons is not really eating solids. That's just sort of tasting them. So if there's no appetite for solids, it's going to be very, very difficult to incorporate a bigger volume of solids. So this tells me that there's probably multiple milk feeds going on to reduce that likelihood of having an appetite for solids. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm curious about the question of how to drop bottles, because I'm not usually dropping feeds unless there are multiple happening sort of 2-hourly and we're getting into a bit of a snacky. So I would want to know how many bottles there are, what the volumes are, because at 7.5 months old, you and I would have a baby usually on a 3-nap schedule, which means we're doing 4 bottles spaced throughout the day, and we do them at strategic timings so that we do create that balance of great milk feeds and build genuine appetite and enthusiasm for solids. And so I would just be wondering, how many bottles are there, and do we need to drop to the 4 that you and I would work to? And what's the spacing between offering a bottle and then trying to offer solids? Because I find that babies, if you've got a full tummy, you can afford to be a bit fussy with solids, whether it's baby-led weaning or purees on a spoon. You can just be like, oh, thanks, that was a nice, fun thing to put on my tongue. And we're done here because I've already got this really nice full tummy. So it's about creating space. So on a 3-nap schedule at 7.5 months, we do 4-hourly feeds, and so our bottle timings would be 7, 11, 3, and then roughly 30 minutes prior to bed. So have a look at how that compares to what you are currently doing, and can we rejig? Because, once we're on that schedule, I'm not looking to drop bottles, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like this mum it's sort of like the chicken or the egg sort of scenario. I would like for I probably have a few feeds going. I need the confidence behind me that I know this little bubba can have more solids in order to drop the feeds. So it may not be that she's necessarily dropping feeds, but it's that consolidation of milk that needs to be achieved. So just what Sally said before, just consolidate those feeds. If you've got a few, maybe they're every 2 to 3 hours, they just need to sort of be spaced 4-hourly. That'll create that window of time to create the appetite for both the milk and the solids, and then you should start to see an improvement in how much bubby is taking, and maybe just focus on lunchtime rather than every meal as well. So just go in for the 11:30 solids, and then work on that. Have a little bit offered at the 5 o'clock dinner, but I wouldn't offer any breakfast at this point in time if you're just trying to
build up some appetite.
Redistribute the calories via the milk.
The other scenario that I could imagine that could be happening here is that sometimes you might be having 4 bottles, let's say, across the day, but if baby doesn't take all of it at, let's say, 7 a.m., I find a lot of families are then offering the rest of that same 1 bottle a couple of hours later in the same wake window. And although it's the same bottle, that snack then impacts the next attempt at a bottle and
Yes.
the next attempt at solids. So I really just offer it once in that wake window at those times, and then we build the appetite. And what you'll find is that a baby will, once we remove the snacking aspect, oh, I really want more of that next bottle. I had to wait a little bit longer. Oh, and now I'm really hungry for solids. So that could also be happening there as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh, I like this one a lot, and I'm excited for this family.
Excited.
6-month-old. Yeah, I know because
Ooh.
I already know my answer. 6-month-old. Only thing stopping a trip to Hawaii is time zone change from Melbourne for an 8-day trip. Just
Oh,
go.
yeah.
Just get on that
Yes,
plane and
absolutely.
go. Can I come with you? I'll even
Yeah.
manage the baby sleep. This, first of all, 6-month-old is an amazing age to travel.
Very
I
portable.
took
Very portable.
very
Not,
portable,
yeah, not needing to get down and crawl or do anything like that on them. They're just little lumps still.
little lumps. You can take a couple of sachets of, if you're starting solids. And
Yeah.
I took my daughter when she was 6 months old to New York, and we actually got married. We eloped in New York, and
Oh,
she was my
gosh.
little bridesmaid.
Yeah,
Yeah, under the
cute.
Brooklyn Bridge. And
Oh.
oh my goodness, she was the best traveler. She was
Mm,
still taking car naps. She slept in the yo-yo pram. And that
mm.
was a bigger time difference than Hawaii. And I found it took 3 days either side to adjust. The beauty of Hawaii also is that you're going to sunshine, and that is going to help reset all of your
Mm.
circadian rhythms and internal body clocks much faster than on the way back when you're coming to dreary old Melbourne in the middle of winter. So really my advice would be I try and get on the schedule
Mhm.
um, as soon as possible. Lights, camera, action. We had a look at the time zone just before, didn't we, Bec? I think it was 10 hours difference
Yep.
from Melbourne to Hawaii.
Which people often get a little bit um, scared of time zone changes in
Mm,
terms of like, oh gosh, that's a lot, 10 hours. But honestly, the hardest time zone change to get onto, like, and from my perspective, is the 1 hour time zone difference between New South Wales and Queensland.
yeah.
Like, I think almost like the bigger the time zone difference, the better.
Mm,
So I wouldn't be worried about the time zone change. You kind of just, even let's just say you flew in and you arrived in the morning, you kind of just sort of get through your day with, your 3 naps, like, cap some naps, get them in
mm,
there, and then find your way to bedtime and incorporate the shower or the bath like as part of your bedtime routine, which will
yeah.
then signal that it's bedtime, and we're priming for nighttime sleep, and with any luck you'll have a fairly decent night. But the same would go if you arrived in it in the evening, and you arrived at 10 o'clock. You just sort of keep moving through your wake window, burn a bit of energy on the ground,
Mm,
incorporate your bath or your shower, just that water element to get you through into signaling to baby that it is nighttime. And then just sort of, muddle through, get through to the morning, start the day fresh.
start the day.
Yeah, between 6 and 7, as per normal, get on track. And you'll find that babies actually adjust much more quickly to time zone changes than us as adults.
Mm, I
And
agree.
sometimes it is a little bit of sacrifice, if you're wanting to sleep in and you just sort of think, oh gosh, it's 7 o'clock, baby's still asleep. I'll just doze off. Like, the sacrifice is there to
Mm.
try and get up and
Yeah.
start the day so that you're all on track a little bit more easily. And
Because also with an 8-day trip, by making the sacrifice early on,
Mm.
you just nip it in the bud so much
Yeah.
sooner. And so you can enjoy the 8 days rather than if you take a really gradual
Mm.
approach and then finally on day 6, you're on the new time zone only to get back on the plane on day 8. And you got to do it all again on the other
Yeah.
side, but somewhere far less exotic. The one thing I do find that some families think about doing is getting on the new time zone before they leave. And for me, I don't recommend that. I don't
No,
know
neither.
where you sit. Yeah, okay. Because I actually would rather a family prioritize getting great sleep under their belt in the week leading up to travel, because the travel day, there's always going to be some overtiredness. Flights get delayed. We're doing naps
Yep.
on the go. Like, it's just one of those days. And I would rather have great sleep under my belt to to go into a travel day and a time zone change rather than starting on the back foot where we're already
Yeah.
trying to get on something new. Everyone's feeling a
Yeah.
bit exhausted and wired, and then adding in travel on top of that. So prioritize great sleep, and then you just crack on when you get there. I am the biggest believer that these trips need to have, like, there is a world outside of baby sleep, and even if sleep for whatever reason fell apart completely, it's yet to happen with me. I've traveled, quite extensively overseas with children and doing time zone changes, and it's always been fantastic.
Yeah.
But if it falls apart, you just get home and you get back on track. Go
Yeah.
and enjoy the trip.
Yeah. Experience life, and the more you do it, the easier it gets. So whether it's a overseas trip or it's a holiday to a farm stay, 2 hours up the road, you've got to go and do these things, because the more it happens, the easier it gets, the more, what's the word that I'm thinking of? Adaptable babies become as well to things that happen slightly differently to at home. But it's just practice makes perfect. And I 100% get on that flight. You've got to,
please
if
take
the
us with you.
opportunity is there, just go. It's going to be amazing.
I would not, if I had a 6, I would not think twice.
Neither.
The one thing I'll say someone recommended to me before I got on a flight with a 6-month-old was to make sure you pack a spare change of clothes for mum, because we always pack multiple things, for like nappy blowouts, vomits, all of these things for baby. And then we're like, oh, all of those bodily fluids occurred on us. And so pack a spare change of clothes for you in your carry-on.
Great tip. Great tip.
And enjoy. Send us photos. Have a glass of champagne in the airport lounge, and aloha.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, last one from my end. 12-month-old sleep regression. Baby sitting, standing in cot, won't lie down, only sleep in arms. I'm going to sound like a tough crowd here, and I say this with so much compassion and solidarity. I don't subscribe to the 12-month sleep regression. And Bec, I know that you're the same with that. I think regressions, we talk about this all the time, just happen at all sorts of different ages and stages. I don't necessarily see one as like a milestone one at 12 months. Baby sitting and standing in cot and won't lie down, only will sleep in arms. When babies learn to sit and stand and have autonomy in the cot, there is often a bit of a blip, because, oh, this is fun, and it fast becomes a bit of a two-player game. Oh, I stand up, mum or dad comes in, they lay me back down, they go out, oh, I'm going to do the same thing. And then it becomes ritualized. And at 12 months old, a baby is loud, they have stamina, both for the standing and the crying, and usually we just want to nip it in the bud. So what I'm going to say here, and then Bec, you jump in if you would do something differently. Whenever these moments occur, I go back to the basics. I want to know that there is enough sleep pressure for that baby to be tired enough to fall asleep. Sometimes I find that if the schedule's just not quite right, if a baby has energy to burn, they're going to find something fun to do in the cot. So making sure that the schedule is on track. We usually move to a transitional schedule of a short long at this age, and making sure that baby has also had a lot of time down on the mat and sitting and standing and practicing all of these wonderful skills during wake windows. From there, I take a very much less is more approach. Your baby is welcome to sit and welcome to stand, and they can get themselves back down and into a comfy position for sleep. I would probably be doing just a really low stimulation, responsive sleep training technique to say, hey, I love you, I see you. You also get eyes on them to be like, okay, you haven't unzipped something or got a leg stuck in here or, some sort of weird position. And you just mostly leave them to it. So they go back to realizing, the fun's been taken out of this. I don't get to end up in mum or dad's arms, and they go back to using their great self-settling skills. That's my take.
100%. This is exactly why I moved to the transitional schedule to one nap, exactly for this reason, which is that short, long version. because this is such a common theme that happens when our little ones learn to stand, is that it becomes more of a priority to have a bit of fun in the cot and sort of practice their skill set rather than wanting to sort of fall asleep. And they have more stamina if they've got a longer morning nap happening because they're super refreshed after having an hour and a half nap. They're not really tired, willing to go to sleep. And so the key here is to make sure that that nap is just a quick little take the edge off the sleep needs at, say, 10, just for half an hour maximum, so that the sleep pressure builds really quickly so they are tired and ready for sleep. And even if they are wanting to stand and practice, they're going to tire themselves out so much more quickly than if they had a big long nap behind them. And this is the key for families, especially if you know that your little one can actually self-settle and get themselves from a standing position to a sitting position, is that you have to back them. And you have to remember that you've got all afternoon. And the more practice you give them at learning how to stand and sit down and lay back down and so forth, the faster the resolution is going to come about. So it is a case of just less is more, to the doorway, in and out if you have to. Try not to feed into the excitement of it all and try not to speed up the process, because if you're putting your little one down for nap 2 at, say, 1 o'clock, even if they fell asleep at 10 to 3, totally fine. You could give them a nap and sort of celebrate the fact. We will take it. It means that the faster you follow through, the earlier you follow through in the piece, the faster the resolution is going to happen. And you will find that it's a 2-3 day course that runs rather than this perpetuated, oh my gosh, they won't sit down, they won't lie down, I'm going to have to rock, hold, pat to get this nap happening. So yes, sort of back your little one to learn this skill set very quickly.
And that is also how quickly new habits can form. And sometimes it takes us by surprise, because you might think, oh, this is so weird. Okay, I just need to get this nap in. I'm going to fully assist. So, for example, have a nap in the arms in this scenario, and then it happens the next day, and you're like, oh, must just be a blip, and then and then it locks in. And so it can also, we just never also want a baby to learn that the longer and harder they cry, or the more they protest, or the more they do the standing, the more likely they are to then get asleep in your arms, if that is not what you are wanting to offer. If you're wanting them to have their great independent nap, then that's sort of the boundary and expectation we need to go into these moments with.
I think where the confusion can lie sometimes is most of our listeners and our followers will hear us talk about contact naps, and that contact,
yes. Very fair. Yep.
Yeah. And then they'll think, okay, well, I put my hand up and I will say this, it's better to have the nap, to get the nap achieved, than it is to fight a self-settle. But there are definite moments in time where we sort of know what the cause is. And we have these big windows of time. So, for example, if we know that our little one is sort of learning how to pull to stand and learning how to walk and all the things, and they're practicing that skill set in there, and we know that we've got all afternoon, that's a moment where if I felt like I can back my little one, that's what you kind of need to do that. Otherwise you get stuck into that ritualized pattern of contact napping to rescue the nap and so forth, and then it's the thing that gets you out of that is having it up to here with doing the contact nap, Yeah. So then but if you just back them in the beginning and sort of know, if you understand why it's happening, it's best to sort of follow through. But if, say, for example, you had something on and you had to be out of the house at, say, 3 o'clock, on the dot, which is when their normal nap would finish, maybe it would be a case on like day 1 or day 2 of assisting the nap until you have a clear run of days, consecutive days where you can sort of follow through and make it all happen.
Interesting, because when I read that question, for whatever reason, I assumed it was at bedtime, whereas you've heard it and assumed it was at nap time.
Yes.
I don't know why.
What was the question again?
12-month sleep regression, babysitting, standing in cot, won't lie down, only sleep in arms. So it actually could be either or or both. For whatever reason,
Totally.
my brain went to
Yes.
bedtime. So I was like, okay, well, we just won't assist. But you made, yes, if this was naps, which, you know, would be understandable because parents want to get that nap in. Whereas bedtime, you might be
Yes.
more inclined to be like, let's let this play out.
Yeah.
Yes, that makes sense. Kind of the same answer to both.
Same answer to both.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. But definitely at bedtime. Definitely at bedtime when we know sleep pressure's on your side. Okay. All right. Bec, what have you got on in your question box?
Rightio. I have a 10-month-old settling for 15 minutes at the start of the nap. Do I cap the nap at 2 hours or do I give them more since they've settled for 15 minutes?
As in, it's taken them 15 minutes to self-settle?
Yep.
I don't personally add it on. I incorporate, first of all, great settling length of time.
Yeah.
No notes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
absolutely fine. And if anyone's wondering, we actually have a whole podcast episode on how long it can take for a baby to fall asleep and what we would deem as, I don't know, quote unquote normal. So 15 minutes, great. And the way I would personally work is I wouldn't add that on. I should say the context of my answer is definitely not whilst I'm working with a family that we're micromanaging timings. If it was me and I was just like, oh, sleep's great, I don't really have any issues, and they ended up sleeping 15 minutes extra, cool. But I'd know how to manage that. But when I'm actively working with a family, I'd say, no, we're going to still cap that. For me, it would be incorporated into the overall nap time, cot time, whatever we want to call it. And then so we protect the wake window, we protect the next feed, and we protect the work we're doing. So short answer, wake at the same time as normal would be my answer.
I think it honestly depends on what scheduling you're on, and if you're on a 3-nap schedule, a 2-nap schedule, or a 1-nap schedule. A 3-nap schedule, I would 100% incorporate that into the timings because we are trying to protect sleep pressure and timings for the following nap. So it's a very tight. If they're, for example, nap 2 for a 6-month-old would be say 12:45 to 2:15, and if they didn't fall asleep until 1, I am still absolutely waking up at 2:15 because I need to protect nap 3.
Yeah. And 15 minutes, it can make or break the third nap, and then we're chasing our tail to bedtime. Yeah.
If the nap, for example, we're on a 2-nap structure and it was a 13-month-old and they were on the 10 to 10:30 morning nap and then a 1 till 3 p.m. nap, I'm absolutely capping. If they take 15 minutes to fall asleep at 10 o'clock, I'm still capping the nap at 10:30 so that I can protect that 1 p.m. bedtime. But if, for example, they fall asleep at 1 o'clock for that second nap and they're still asleep at 3 and they've taken 15 minutes, I'm going to be a little bit loosey-goosey on that, like fly by the seat of your pants.
3:30 cap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say 3:30 cap.
Then that keeps bedtime at 7:30.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if you wanted a slightly longer nap, and I'm not going to worry about it too much, especially at that age, because when we drop to 1 nap, if they're able to sleep 2.5 hours for that second nap, then when you drop to 1 nap, you can bring that 2.5 hours around to the middle of the day and you're kind of back to a 7 p.m. bedtime. So it is very dependable on what situation you're currently in with your nap structure.
The inner workings of a sleep consultant right there.
Yes, exactly.
So I love it. I love it. No, because these are the things, like this is why people work with us, because we are calculating nonstop.
Yes.
But yes, I don't know.
No, I was starting to think, oh my God, was that really?
No.
Sorry, everybody.
No, just the less naps you're on, the more wriggle room you have to add on 15 minutes. But I would sort of say, for me, again, I just speak for me, like as a hard and fast sleep consulting rule, 15 minutes is normal. I'm just going to factor that in and we'll wait and then we move forward.
Usually I would, absolutely. If we're working on sleep together in a package, I'd just sort of be like, no, we're just going to stick with the timings.
Yeah,
and
the alarm has gone off.
Yeah. Get
Off we
that
get.
little one up. Now, the next
Yes.
question is, sorry, before I like pickle everyone's brains with
No.
too much information.
This is what you're amazing at, Bec. You are amazing at calculating all of these wake windows and what ifs and what happens when, which is the real world. Babies do not
It
like
is
to follow our
absolutely.
plans. We are always
Yes,
on
we're
the
always
defense.
troubleshooting. Yeah. We've always got to plan up our sleep.
Yeah.
Okay, now this one. Oh, I'm toying between two of these questions. I'm going to go with this one. I know I can't find it. 6-month-old replacing dummy 20 times a night, ditch or keep?
Ooh,
And
I think you and I are going to have different answers. You go first.
I am. Okay, so
I already know what you're going to say. You're going to say, keep the dummy. It's going to become a positive association in 2 months. You just only replace it at a time check.
Oh my God, you know me so well. I just feel like you have done the hard yards. I'm not going to take it away. Like I can count on one hand how many times I've taken a dummy away from little ones. It is like
when you say it like that, you take it away from little ones.
No, you're taking. No, I feel for parents because it's probably worked for quite a number of months. Like let's just like baby's only 6 months old, so for the first few months, it's probably worked an absolute treat. And then they've had a bit of a rough patch where it's sort of become more and more and more, more of a prop to get to get them back to sleep. But they've invested all this time in getting up bloody 20 times a night. So for me, I'm like, let's just try and keep it, but make it more manageable. And so for me, this is where when you do your 2-week sleep solution or, we do a little overhaul, quite often you'll find that those dummy replugs just organically disappear. But it's really just a case, for me, it would be a case of looking at bedtime and sort of setting bedtime up and making sure that you've got your naps and everything all lined up through the day, because a lot of it is just overtiredness and it's popping out of their mouth, and they're really sensitive to anything that's sort of changing if they're really overtired, because the cortisol levels are really high. And so anything can sort of trigger them. So that's often what makes these dummy replugs worse. So if we're tidying up all through the day, naps and timings and bedtime is looking more schmick, quite often you'll find that it's more of a seamless run to only replugging the dummy once or twice. Plus you've probably got your 2 feeds overnight at 6 months if we were working together. So it's just sort of a fact. It's just when we tidy things up that will automatically improve. But yeah, replugging 20 times a night is not cool.
No, that we can agree on. That we can agree on. I'm a little bit, I think it's also maybe like I just couldn't face even 4 times for me personally. Maybe I project my own preferences. At this age, I am with you that you are so close to a baby learning how to replace a dummy, at which point I would not even consider getting rid of it unless a family was absolutely adamant for other reasons. We're no longer a dummy family. We don't want this in the mix. In which case we just got to create the expectation that baby can do it.
Because sorry to cut you off.
No.
We literally are like at 6 months, you've literally got only a few weeks, like it's a few weeks grace between them being able to find it and replug it versus being a little lump and not actually recognizing that they can search and find and do it for themselves.
I know, but let's say we've got 4 more weeks of being up replacing the I know, I sound so mean. No, so I mean, first of all, I'd be like, what is the preference of the family? We could work with whatever the preference is. If this was my baby in this scenario, I would go one of 2 ways. I would either get rid of it completely if you're like, okay, it's not really serving us. We don't want to. 4 weeks feels like a really long time to even have to get up 5 times versus 20. If we're going to ditch it, this is the time. I usually say like before 6 months, so if this baby's, did you say 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months.
Yeah. I would say, okay, we're going to ditch it and I'm going to sleep train. Or what I would do is probably start working to the boundary of once it falls out, it stays out. And then that way, baby still has it as a tool. So when they do go fishing in the night and find it and link the cause and effect of, oh, I found the dummy, I can pop it back in. Great. It is absolutely still there, but we move away from it being this crutch overnight that we're still having to plug back in. So I would say, okay, baby can go down with it at each initial resettle. They can have, after a feed, all of that, go back down with it. But once it falls out, it stays out. And then we are going to resettle in a different way for the rest of that waking or the bedtime or whatever it is, so that baby can learn how to self-settle with or without it. And then you still have it as a tool. And if baby thinks, oh, I found this other cool way to self-settle, you've also got that.
Yeah.
That would probably be my knee-jerk answer.
Yeah. And you're right with the idea that we differ slightly, because usually I would have, you're just going to, once the dummy falls out, you just sort of leave them to it and you find, you have a different strategy. Whereas I would sort of replug it maybe once every 5 minutes or whenever parents go in, or if they're using more of a more hands-on sort of technique, then we would have a strategy for when to replug it. But it does become more valuable. So if you are replugging it every 30 seconds, because you're standing right over them and they keep spitting it out and you keep putting it in, and there's no value in it. Whereas if they have to wait for it and then you put it back in and then they're like, yes, and you can sort of see their eyes roll back and then they're like, nom, 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 nom. They really do hold on to it a little bit more. And so it becomes more valuable to them because it's not being put in so frequently. So you can sort of find a difference
I'll tell you one of the reasons why I do that less, and because I know it absolutely can work where you start just replacing it at more of a timed interval and such. The reason why I don't often do that is because over the years I have worked with, like a handful. It's not every family with a dummy, but a handful of babies where that still continues. That there's still that reliance of they spit it out, they wait their 5 minutes, they get it popped in, they go back to sleep. Next sleep cycle, they've realized they've spat it out, they wait their 5 minutes, and mum and dad are still popping it back in. That is not the case for every scenario, but I've just had kind of like enough babies over the years where I'm like, oh, sometimes we're still stuck with it being a crutch. But I do think that is a good that's a good place to start, from the 20 times overnight, replacing it just constantly the moment it falls out. We stagger it to that. Or if you want to go, what would Sally do? Once it falls out, it stays out. But you have to have a plan. You have to have a plan, whether that's cot side or out of the room. It doesn't matter, because you're going to support your baby in self-settling in another way. And then they can go fish with it and practice during the day and play the dummy game. And, you still keep it in the mix. And then come 7 to 9 months, bang, we're on. They can replace it on their own.
And this is a testament to you can do things different ways and still have great results, because ultimately it's about having a plan and staying consistent with it. 100% consistent. Consistency is what brings about a relaxed baby, because even though they don't feel relaxed in the moment when you're trying to teach them something new, that repetitive response creates this pattern that they then become accustomed to, and then they understand what it is that you're doing and the expectation that you have for them. And that's what brings about relaxed vibes, because they can read the room, they read what's going on, they understand that communication is so important. So even though we do it slightly differently, we still have amazing results when we work with families that need to drop dummies and or keep it.
It's also just such a good talk. Like, I have so many things in my head that I want to talk about with the dummy. One of the other things I'll often tell families is, and this is also the beauty of a lengthier package, like a 2 weeks, is that I can watch the patterns emerge. So we can start with a more dummy responsive technique, and then if 5 nights in we're like, oh, this is still being a pest, great, we have more data, then we can make another decision. Whereas sometimes when we're not there for the whole thing, it is easier to just have
Yes.
one really clear, this is what we're going to do when this
True.
happens, and not have to try and troubleshoot it or interpret the
Mm.
data. Whereas, yeah, when I'm watching, that's my job. And then I can say
Yeah.
to you, how are you feeling about those 5 times overnight? Because, and then if they're like, no, that's fine. It's so much, great. Okay, crack on.
Yeah.
And if
Well,
they're
everyone
like,
has
no,
a unique threshold with
that's
when it comes to
that's
dummy
it.
replugs or wakings and resettling overnight. So, I have families that are like, oh, it's so great. We're down from 11 wakings overnight to 5 wakings overnight. So much better. Like before
Which
I've
is
started
true,
working with them. Yeah.
which is
But I'm like,
great
wow,
progress.
5 is still like, I'm just knackered reading your intake form, like getting up 5 times.
Yeah.
So it's, every family is unique. What one will find tricky is another one's successful night. So yeah,
Totally.
all good.
Choose your own adventure. But I think the answer to so many of these questions is always less is more. We want to give babies a moment and a chance to do all of this because we know that they are capable.
Just practice.
Practice. All right. I think that is Sleep Detectives. Gosh, I love these. This is fun.
Yeah, so fun.
We're going head to
I hope
head
you
on
guys
the
find
dummy.
it fun too.
We should put a poll. Who is team Bec? No, because then that'll hurt my feelings too. And everyone's like,
oh no, it'll hurt mine. I'll cry myself to sleep if no one chooses my option.
No, everyone will be like, oh my God, Sally's so harsh. Guys, you can keep it. You can keep it, okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
I
It's
promise.
fine. Just do what you want.
Let us know where you sit in the comments. We would love to see. No one can see
let's
me
see
doing
how
that,
many
but I've got my
people-
boxing gloves up.
We'll just see how many people made it through until to the dummy chat after I fried their
they're
brains.
probably like,
They're still like sitting there buzzing, like going, "Ooh,
3 naps versus 2 naps versus a 3:30
15 minutes,
cup and a
what?
7:30. We need. Have you got a whiteboard behind you? We need to a graph. You need to. We're visual learners, okay? We're too tired for this, Bec.
All right, I think we've probably
We'll see you on the next
done
episode.
it. See you guys. Bye.
Bye.